Hey folks, so we are reviewing Chapter 10, and with Chapter 10 we're going to analyze the civil laws and policies that are related to it. We're also going to look at the elements and causes of crime in the state of Texas, and then we're going to look at the concepts of due process, punishment and rehabilitation, and how due process of the law is actually implemented in the state of Texas. So let's talk about criminal cases. So criminal cases are prosecuted, of course, by public officials, and the aim is punishment. Civil suits, on the other hand, are brought to our attention by a plaintiff. And usually the relief is ongoing injury, or from ongoing injury is usually compensation from past damages. So that's the big difference between the criminal and civil. Criminal, it's usually the aim is punishment. And for civil suits, it's the relief from ongoing injury is usually compensation. Oh, and by the way, the definition of plaintiff, which is in your textbook, is the party that's actually bringing on the civil lawsuit, is usually in a private person or an institution. So that's what the definition of plaintiff is. Let's talk about the different types of civil laws that we have. For purposes of this textbook, we are focused mostly on family law, real estate law, and probate law. Those are the types of civil law that we look at. Civil law in the states today are based in a large part of centuries-old English common law. Common law is a judge-made law, and it's either written, rather written or unwritten. It is based on precedents. And we've discussed precedents in the class, P-R-E-C-E-D-E-N-T-S, not presidents, but precedents, which are previously decided cases that are used as a guiding principle for future cases. So again, common law, which is coming from Old English law, is written or unwritten and is based on precedent, which is previously decided cases, which are used as a guiding principle for future cases. Other civil laws that are covered in your textbook are business regulations, corporate law, contract law, and torts. Let me highlight torts. Torts is a civil wrong, whether intentional or neglect, that results in the injury of someone. So I wanted to make sure that that definition was clear, because I think the way the author writes or the way it's written in the textbook, it may not be as clear. So in Texas, we have had some efforts to limit liability in civil cases. That usually happens in tort reform. Some consumer groups have opposed Texas tort reform, and we will see a lot of that. You see a lot of cases and a lot of examples that are highlighted in Chapter 10 of your textbook. I wanted to talk about consumer and environmental groups. You have like Public Citizen, Texas Watch, Texas for Public Justice, the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. Most Democratic Party leaders, they generally oppose sweeping tort reform of any type that Texas has enacted. They argue that the instances of lawsuit abuse should not be used as a justification to restrict the fundamental right to trial by jury. They contend that only a jury, hearing all the evidence presented by both sides, can make an appropriate judgment in a case. Let's go on the criminal side for a minute. We have felonies, misdemeanors, and victimless crimes on the criminal side. Important to make sure you're wearing the mask properly and your hands are clean and you're not fit. Sorry about that. So let's start off with felonies. Felonies are the most serious of the crimes, and they're punishable by state institutions. Misdemeanors, those are minor crimes. They're punishable by a county jail sentence or fine. And then victimless crimes, those are crimes where the victims are the criminals themselves. A lot of people will use drug abuse or maybe prostitution are those examples that will come from victimless crimes. You have a chart in your textbook that covers the crime and punishment under the Texas Penal Code. Please make sure that you are familiar with this. It's table 10.1 in your textbook. For instance, it talks about the capital murder offense and examples and terms that are associated with that. First-degree felonies, second-degree felonies, and it goes on, all the way down to a Class C misdemeanor. So it talks about the type of offense, and then the examples, it lists examples of those offenses, and the terms. Be familiar with that.